All right, final time here on the Sean Lewis Show, San Diego Sports 760. Aztecs and Boise State coming up Saturday night at 7:30. Really cool announcement coming out this week about the Finish the Climb campaign. The Finish the Climb campaign to continue to elevate San Diego State football, which includes an anonymous donation of $1 million. So let's just, that's an unbelievable donation, obviously, and I'm sure the entire program is extremely grateful for it. What can you tell us about the donation and the Finish the Climb campaign?
Let's start with this question. Would you say $1 million is a good thing?
It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Sources can confirm.
Yeah.
That's very good. I mean, incredibly grateful to that anonymous gift giver and their generous support, right? And so to launch this Finish the Climb campaign, to have this matching effort where that $1 million is going to be unlocked when our greater community raises $1 million. You know, we've talked about it, right? This is an integral part in building a championship program, and we're well on our way to do that. And the community has done a great job responding and rallying with us and competing with us in this space. And whether it's you've bought tickets, whether you've shown up to the community events, whether you've helped our guys by giving them summer jobs or whatever the case might be, and now obviously this campaign and this initiative to raise money that will directly impact the retention and recruitment efforts to our roster because portal season is quickly approaching, and so having this amazing gift to launch this great campaign today to finish this year's version of the climb, but also knowing and understanding, right? The climb is never ending. There's another summit that we're going to go reach starting next year as we usher in, obviously, the transition, the move to the Pac-12, and that's only going to increase the standards and the expectations, which we welcome with open arms, but it also means the resources need to go up so that we can accumulate the talent of starters and depth that are needed to go win consistent championships year in and year out. So really excited about the effort, really excited about the campaign. Can't wait to see our community respond and help us finish the climb.
Yeah, and look, I'm just going to say some of the things that I know that John knows that maybe as a head coach you are maybe demure at the opportunity to say, but this is where football is now, folks. I mean, whether you love it or you hate it, there is a war going on behind the scenes. If you don't have money, if you don't have resources, you don't have a football team at the collegiate level anymore. This is big time Division I football. This is a winning brand. And whether you want to say fortunately or unfortunately, this is just what it looks like in order to build a better mousetrap, in order to have the best product available. Investments are needed. And so this incredibly generous donation of $1 million and the opportunity to help and match, I mean, it's so significant. That cannot be underscored harder. So if there's ever a time to help, now's the time. Yeah. The word climb, you've used it several times throughout the course of this season, especially the second half of this season. What does that mean to you personally? What does it mean to you in terms of your team and then in terms of the community?
Yeah, I mean, so wanted to have a rallying cry for this team in particular and kind of a theme. And as I thought about, last year and we did that autopsy, so to speak, of where we didn't have a very clear identity of who we were going to be as a team, wanted to have something that we could grab hold of. And so actually read a book, Toughness by Jay Billis, that we then read as a leadership group, where there was a story in there where he talked about a coach that had a ladder and talked about, hey, the subsequent steps to reach the heights of either individually or collectively as a team. Like, you have to take these steps one step at a time, and that climb is a never-ending process to reach new heights and to reach new limits. And I thought, man, like, what a great analogy, what a great parallel. And so, I brought in this old rinkety Midwest ladder that I had that's been on all this travel to the Northeast and now obviously to the best coast here on the West Coast, and showed the boys, like, hey, like, how's this ladder work? And slammed it down and didn't open it up proper. I'm like, hey, why'd that happen? And they're like, well, coach, you didn't use it the right way. I was like, right, like, this ladder didn't have a strong base. It didn't have a strong foundation, right? And so that was the work that we started doing in winter conditioning, and we laid that foundation, and the strength of that foundation has led to, the summit and the peaks that we are aspiring to. And like any great climb, as we were talking about in one of the earlier segments, that this metaphor, this analogy, whatever it is that you want to call it, right, has morphed from the one steps in those ladders to where now, man, like, we can do great things. The way that the community has stepped up, it's allowed us to not just climb this little rinkety ladder, but has allowed us now to climb great summits, right? And like, what a the greatest summit that there is that you can climb, right, is Mount Everest, right? And so being able to then tie on that and build off of that, and just, again, all the parallels of climbing Mount Everest service to the journey of a season to the ups and downs of life, like that all come with it. And then again, the way that the community has bought into it, because to do any sort of great climb or to achieve anything great of significance in life, like it takes a group of individuals that are crazy enough to believe that it can happen, to pour into the work to make it happen, and then to be strong, to be tough, to hold each other accountable, to have fun doing it together, but be very purposeful and very driven about where it is that you're going. And so our community is a huge piece of that. Like, this team would not be where it is, and we wouldn't have this opportunity on Saturday if it wasn't for the way that our community stepped up when we first got the job, how they responded about a year ago, believing in the vision and recommitting to us and allowing us to have the resources to help us transform our young men's lives, with where we're at. And again, as we continue to elevate, as we continue to reach new peaks and new summits and, continue to contend for championships and compete at that level, it requires resources, right? And I think it's a tremendous opportunity that we all have, again, like to change the perspective a little bit of how we're looking at this. Like, these guys are the ones that are doing the work. They're the ones that, we talked about all the injuries on the show earlier, like are literally putting their bodies on the line. And so everyone else has benefited for so long about the game of college football in particular. That's near and dear to my heart. This isn't going away, and we need to use this opportunity to help our guys, transform their lives, help impact the people that have helped supported them. Like, our guys are using these funds to get their families to come to the games, right? To be a part of what's going on, to buy an iPad or a Google Chromebook for a younger sibling so that they can have a better school experience than, they had coming up because of their talents and their unique gifts. Like, that just speaks to the character of our guys. And those are just a small handful of things that our guys have done with this NIL money and with the rev share money and all those sorts of things. So, it's not the flashy, Lambos and private jets and all the things that get all the attention, right? It's not that at this level. It's our guys, having a little bit of extra cash in their pocket to make, the time and the commitment and offset the cost of living in San Diego meaningful, and then using those resources as well to impact loved ones in the community with different things that they're doing with their this newfound money that they have.
And you know what? I'm so glad you touched on that point, because a lot of people look at college football players and they'll be like, oh, these greedy, this and that. And it isn't that. It's really not that. It's not. A lot of these guys, I'm not saying they all come from these real hard luck households or things like that, but you grow up with modest means and don't have many of the things to keep pace, competitively with some of the other students who are, striving in the same direction you are. I remember my sister, I don't want to get too personal with it, but she got a settlement and bought me a laptop computer. It was my senior year of high school. I was on my way to college. It was a laptop I used all throughout my time at Penn State. Yep. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have had a computer. I would have been going over the computer lab every night. But, her generosity helped me up. Yep. And that's what you're talking about. If you are a San Diegan, if you are an Aztec for life, if you're thinking, man, I want to save my money and really do something good with it. Well, hang on. Yep. You are doing something good with it if you support one of these players, because trust me, it goes beyond just the player. It goes into the community, because a lot of these guys aren't just looking out for themselves. They're not looking at the car dealership where they're going to go buy they're saying, hey, what does little sister or brother need? Right. Hey, what does mom and dad need? How can I help the community around me? And you're really going to potentially, and I don't want to, make this too whatever preachy, but save some lives. I mean, honestly, the money can go that far. So I don't know. I love what you guys are doing here. I love the effort. I love the anonymous donation. And I know that I benefited from the generosity of strangers throughout my college career. I would not have made it. I ended up having an NFL career, and I still thank those people at the national anthem who helped guide my way. I do a little thought thing. I don't sing along to it. I literally thank every person who helped me and supported me along my path. And man, if you have access to some funds, you can do a lot of good by helping this cause.
Finish the Climb campaign. Again, the tangible impact. Think about San Diego State football this year without guys like Jordan Napier or Ross at center or, Tano Latuli or Trey White, or I mean, the list, Chris Johnson,
Yep.
the list goes on and on and
Yep.
on. You're talking about not just off field, but what it means on field
Yep.
for San Diego State football. Sean, before we get out of here, San Diego State, Boise State coming up Saturday night. We talked a little bit about the keys. What else? I mean, what's this going to come down to when you think about Saturday night and the difference between winning and losing?
Yeah,
What's this going to come down to?
I mean, I feel like a broken record at times when I say this whenever you ask that question, John, but it's really the line of scrimmage, especially with the playing styles of both of these offenses and the identity of these clubs. Like, you know, whoever's going to win the line of scrimmage is going to have a huge competitive advantage in this game. And then again, like the emotional maturity and the competitive spirit in this game. It's a big game, right? And so you can play this game with emotion, but you can't be emotional, and you can't let the stage and the environment and all the things that are going on around it, right? Like, change who you are. Like, we got to be unapologetically us and do the things that got us to this place and do all the basic fundamentals at an elite level. And we'll look back and say, hey, that was a championship effort on a night where we need it most, and we need our fans to show up and be a part of that as well. So get your tickets, get your umbrellas, get your ponchos, get your vitamins, enjoy a good tailgate, and away we go. And let's have a great night at Snapdragon.
Biggest game in the Mountain West this year will be Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium between a couple of teams tied atop the league right now in San Diego State and Boise State. Saturday night, 7:30. Tickets at GoAztecs.com. Me and Rich will be on the call. Sean will be on the sidelines. Coach, we appreciate it.
Guys.
And we'll catch up with you this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Go Aztecs.
All right, for Sean Lewis and Rich Ornberger, I'm John Schaefer. San Diego State, Boise State, Saturday night at 7:30. And this has been the Sean Lewis Show on San Diego Sports 760.